Welcome to Project Inner Leadership, where women build and become. This is the podcast for ambitious women in business who are building, leading, and achieving, and who know they're meant for more. Here, we don't just talk about strategy, we talk about consciousness, self-leadership, emotional mastery. Because the business you build will never outgrow the woman you become. If you're ready to expand beyond your current limits, to dissolve inner resistance, and to manifest a business and a life that truly reflects your deepest vision, then you're here in the right place. This is about thinking beyond what feels realistic, building a business without burning out, leading beyond fear, and creating from clarity instead of pressure. I'm Christina, and this is Project Inner Leadership. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new podcast episode. This is episode number 5, and I'm super excited about this topic. We are going to discuss today the topic triggers, life challenges, difficult life situations, because I don't know how you are feeling. I hope you're feeling good, but I feel like in this world at the moment, there are so many triggers. I get literally triggered every single day, sometimes even several times a day. To be honest, if I wouldn't have started with my inner work yet, I think I would feel super overwhelmed in these chaotic times we are living in, the times of change because the world is changing. And I would like to talk about triggers today because they are so necessary. They are so necessary. And at the same time, they are so beautiful because they're opening a door for us where we actually really find freedom if we are courageous enough to go through this door. And I know these doors, they can feel super scary, but I really want to help you today with this episode, how I see triggers, how I deal with them. And I think I deal quite well with them, even though there are many trying to attack me. But because I have really learned to deal with them, I become really good in cooperating with them. And the main important thing is that they really help me to grow. And I want that also you take the benefit of this time we are living in now, because this change that is going on in the world, and we all feel this change. If you're not feeling it right now in the moment, then probably you're going to feel it in the next few months. And I know these are scary times and everybody's afraid and everybody is very worried about their future, their family, their business, money, etc. But I want to tell you everything is going to be fine, that this change is super necessary for us human beings as an individual, but also as a collective. And only because of these changes are going on right now, the world has a chance to change for the better, not for the worse. And now I would say, let's get started into the topic. Have you ever felt like the same situations keep repeating themselves in your life? I don't know, the same patterns in your business, same frustration, same type of triggers showing up again and again. And it feels like it's coming from the outside, right? It feels like, my God, what's going on? Always the same stupid things are coming up, and I feel like out of control. Many times I ask myself, why do I always attract these weird things into my life? These weird people, these weird clients that they don't want to pay their invoices. For example, my business is so unstable. Why my relationship is so unstable? Why my health is so unstable? And why does everything feel like it's constantly going up and down? Why I cannot just sit in my little space, in my harmony, and everything is just always fine. I'm sitting on this nice wave in the ocean. It's not going too much down, it's not going too much up. So it's always in the same speed, same intensity every time it's in harmony. Why is it not like that? I was feeling a lot like this. And maybe because you're listening now to this podcast, probably you also feel like that, or at least maybe you have felt like that in your past. But in those moments, it's so easy to believe that life is happening against you, that something outside is causing all of this in your life. But what if this is not the truth? What if everything you are experiencing, all these triggers, these like same situations coming up again in your life, could be a person, could be your partner, same type of partners coming up, or same issues with money, same issues with your health. Every trigger, every challenge, and every uncomfortable situation is actually not here to work against you. And I tell you that because I have experienced this so many times. These challenges are not here to work against you. They are here to guide you back to yourself. And I want to explain you now something. If you're already familiar with my topic, that I connect spirituality with business, money, and every life area, then you already know that we are all energy. I talk a lot about that, and you will need that in the future. So I invite you to open yourself for that topic. I know a lot of business people, they don't really like spirituality because that's not something that helps them immediately. But we are now going to the age of air. We were living the past, I don't know, 50 years, 100 years in the age of earth. That's a little bit about astrology. I don't know if you know a lot about astrology, but maybe just as a background information, we were living in a time where everything was more stable. Everything was in routine, everything was structured, everything had their plan, and we all knew how the life works, how a career works, how a business works. But because of all this structure, it was also much harder to do something which was out of the box. For example, I have a company which is super unnormal, I would say, because I have a book agency. We are selling books, we write books for company owners that can help them to position themselves as an expert in a market and use the book as a marketing tool. If I would have built that business 20 or 30 years ago, it would have been super difficult because the internet wasn't big, there was no digitalization. And I am living in London and I'm doing my business for German speaking people in Switzerland, Austria, and in Germany. That would have been super difficult 30, 40 years ago, right? And also back then it was more you go to school, then you go maybe to university, or you do the education that your father or mother have done, and then you get the same job as them. Or you go to university, you become a doctor, you become a teacher, or whatever. There was this classical way of education. But in the new age, it's so simple, so easy to build a business, to build something that maybe doesn't even exist at the moment, because I would have never thought I will build a book company. I didn't even know that this business idea exists, that this kind of business exists. I didn't know. I have never heard about that. But I built that because I created that in my mind. And now I'm having that business. But back then, that would have been super difficult. But now we are in the transition to the age of air where everything is light, everything is more free. There are so many more opportunities. We are more in the time of creation. We are not so much in the time of structure anymore. So all the structures around us, the system is falling apart because we are entering a new age. So you will need spirituality that you feel stable entering the age of air. I tell you that from the bottom of my heart because it really helps. And again, because it will really help you if you're open yourself for that topic. So let's go back to what I wanted to really say. We are all energies, and we all have both energies inside of us. We have the light ones, and we also have the dark ones within us. We are the light, and at the same time, we are the darkness. We are the life, and we are the death. We are the love, and we are the fear. We are the happiness, and we are the sadness. It would be really wrong to think we are only the sun, because actually, by that, we reject the rain. However, the sun can only exist because the rain exists. The happiness only exists because the sadness exists. Because we can only know what happiness is once we experience the sadness. So we are living in polarity. We need both. We need the light, but we need also the darkness, because without the darkness, we don't even know what the light is. And that's why we are here on this earth, to experience both. But our whole lives, when we go back to the age of earth, our whole lives in the system, we were taught that only the sun is okay. Only the happiness is okay. But if we are in the darkness, that's not okay. Then something is wrong with us. And that is also why we see illness, for example, as something is wrong with us. But what if the illness is part of health? Because only by experience the illness, we can be healthy. Because the illness is maybe the message we have to change something in our life. And just by doing that, we become healthy again. Isn't that crazy? So basically, we need this polarity in our life. As I've mentioned, we need the light, so we need the darkness. And that means also these triggers, these life challenges, everything uncomfortable happening to you is not here to bring you down. Life doesn't happen against you. Everything is happening for you. Every situation that triggers you, every person that triggers you is simply here to activate something that already exists within you. And the trigger itself, the person that triggers you or the situation that triggers you, is not the cause of the pain. It actually reveals the pain inside of you. It brings out the shadow inside of you, the darkness inside of you. Yeah. For example, if you fight with your partner, or if you have, I don't know, a competitor for your business, and they do something that really brings you down, or your partner does something that really brings you down. So this person or this situation doesn't cause the pain. It actually causes that the shadow inside of you comes out, and by that, the pain or the feeling that is carried inside of you, within this shadow inside of you, can be revealed. So instead of seeing these moments as a problem, we can see them as an invitation to click the pause button, to look inward instead of searching what's going on the outside, searching for the problems outside. Aha, this person is the problem. Aha, I don't know, this trigger is the problem. But in reality, it's not a trigger. There is something inside of you that wants to be seen, that was maybe rejected by you since your childhood, or since maybe a traumatic event happened and you suppressed it, a feeling or something inside of you which is covered by this shadow, and that just wants to get out. And the trigger gives this shadow, this whatever is inside of you, the chance to show up in your life. If you don't listen to it, if you don't see it, if you keep getting distracted from the outside and focus on the outside, it comes up again and again. And that's why you feel so triggered, and triggered always by the same thing. For example, if there is a money issue in your life and you get these triggers over and over again, or people making certain comments that trigger you. Yeah, so the outside is just the reflection from what's going on really inside of you. Even the people, how they behave and how they treat you, they're also kind of a mirror to what's going on inside of you, what needs to be seen, what is there inside of you waiting for you to uncover it, to let it out, so that you see who you really are under all these layers that you have built during your whole life. Because there is a lot of things covered under these layers, covered under this shadow inside of you. And there's a lot of power hidden, which you don't even see, which you're not even aware of, because you can't see through the shadow. Yeah, you can't see the light that is under the shadow, and your light is much lighter than you really think. So most of us have learned to deal with discomfort in a very specific way. We suppress it, we distract ourselves, we try to fix it as quickly as possible so that we don't have to go deep into ourselves, because it's painful. It's painful to feel what's going on in ourselves. And many times we also try to cover it with positive thinking. For example, in this manifestation bubble. By the way, if you know me and if you have listened to my other podcast episodes, you know that I really love manifestation and I practice a lot of it. But there are some things I don't really agree on. And that's, for example, the positive thinking, even though you're not feeling positive right in this moment and triggers are coming up again and again, and you try to cover them with positive thinking. That's something I don't think is helpful if you want to manifest. But anyway, that's a different topic. If you're interested into that topic, then listen to podcast episode number 4. There I'm talking a lot more about this topic. While distracting ourselves and covering our painful feelings with positive affirmations, etc., it might be helpful for a moment, but it often disconnects us from what is truly there inside of us. Because, as mentioned, beneath that surface, there is still something that wants to be felt. That is this shadow that we all try to avoid our whole life, because we are taught that this shadow is not right. And if we acknowledge we have a shadow inside of us, oh my God, that's really bad. But in the end of the day, it all comes down to allow ourselves to truly feel our emotions, not analyzing them, not judging them, not trying to change them, but just feel them fully, honestly, and without any resistance. And yes, it's not easy. There will be some moments where it feels really overwhelming, moments where you feel like you are going to lose control, moments where the intensity of your emotions scare you. In the end of the day, you will understand something very important, that you are not your emotion, you are not your shadow. Your shadow is part of you, you have it, but it's not you. And you're also not your pain, but you are the one experiencing it. You're the one experiencing the shadow. You're the one experiencing the sadness, the pain, the frustration, the fear. But you are not the fear, and you're not the sadness, and you're not the emotion. That's how it is. We're here just to experience the full spectrum of life. As I've mentioned, the light and the dark, the love and the fear, the joy and the anger. Both sides belong to us, belong to this package that we agreed on to experience before we came to this earth. If you don't look deeply into your triggers and why you are experiencing them again and again, they become more persistent. So they trigger you more and more until you have no other chance than looking into them, than really facing them. And I tell you, the sooner you start with that, the easier your life will become. Because the more you begin to allow what is inside of you, that you allow these feelings to flow, you allow basically this energy to flow, the more your life will shift, the more space you will have inside of you for other things, for those things that you really want to have in your life. If you let the sadness come up and you feel it, you face it, you give the sadness its space that it wanted to have for so long, but you were always rejecting it. Once you give it space, it gets satisfied, it can flow again. And then when it goes away, it creates the space for actually those things that you want to have. It creates the space then for the happiness, for example. Your life will start to feel very, very different. Not because the challenges disappear from your life, but because you are no longer fighting the challenge. You're no longer fighting your outside and the triggers. You actually solve it from the inside out. And that's where the true transformation begins. Because when you stop resisting it, you reconnect with something very powerful. And that is called intuition. That's your inner guidance, the quiet voice that doesn't come from fear, but it comes from clarity. And that's so important. That's why I want to repeat it again. Once you let the emotion, the energy, which is, I don't know, fear, sadness, or whatever in your case, once you let it flow, you give it its space, you welcome it, you don't suppress it anymore. It goes away by itself because it feels accepted. If it doesn't feel suppressed anymore, it just wants to be seen by you. It wants to be felt. And when you feel it, you accept it, it goes away by itself. And then you really connect to what's going on inside of you. And that's your intuition. Your intuition, the light, your deep inner light that is covered by all these shadows and all these layers that you have built in your whole life. I've already mentioned that. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but it's so important. So maybe I should repeat myself more often, but maybe some listeners, they will get annoyed by that. But the thing is, your intuition is covered by all these layers. So you basically take off layer by layer by just feeling these emotions, by really seeing and recognizing what's really going on inside of you. And then you get access to your intuition again. And that is this clarity that is not controlled by fear, that's not created by fear. It's created from your true self, from your inside out. And your intuition is very powerful because it shows you the right way for you. And it doesn't lie. It never lies and it never plays games. So it is showing you the right path that you should go. It gives you the answers. That's why many people say you have all the answers and everything you need inside of yourself. I never understood that because in business, that's not something you trust. You don't trust your intuition. You only trust numbers and facts and something, I don't know, that is on the paper. You don't say, I trust my intuition and based on that, I make a business decision. I was taught that way and I was living and making business that way. But now I have a different opinion because I experienced something differently. Now I make decisions only based on my intuition. And I don't need any numbers anymore. I don't need to identify myself with numbers anymore. Because I know my intuition, I know I have all the answers inside of me and I have access to my intuition. And that's how I make my decisions. I don't have the pressure inside of me anymore. I don't have that fear inside of me anymore. I have that fear, but my fear doesn't control me. It doesn't make my decisions for me. I don't become the fear anymore. Yeah, and it can be there. We are human beings. We all have that. We cannot cut that out completely. The good thing is the intuition never rushes you. It never puts pressure on you. It never panics you. I don't know if you have ever experienced that, but if there are situations, really scary situations in your life and you feel panicking and then you want to make a quick decision and you have to do something, you have to solve that problem. But then you actually make the worst decisions because they are controlled by panic and fear, but not really by your intuition. Because your intuition always speaks softly, calmly, again and again. You actually feel your intuition because many people, they are so disconnected and they don't even feel their intuition anymore. They say, I don't have an intuition. I don't hear that. I don't hear that inner voice. And some people, they even say, I feel my intuition because my stomach feels tight or some physical symptoms are coming up. And I want to tell you, none of that is really the case when you have access to your intuition, because your intuition doesn't make your belly to feel uncomfortable and your intuition also doesn't stress you. But your intuition is something that speaks softly. It comes in very quiet moments, in moments where you are in peace, in moments where you are with yourself. So it doesn't come when there is a lot of things going on around you. But your intuition, it comes over and over again. It comes again and knocks at your door softly. It doesn't shout at you, and it knocks at your door and it goes again. It doesn't have any stress. It doesn't have any time pressure. Your intuition is very patient. So it comes again and again, knocks softly at your door, and it leaves again until you listen to it. That's your intuition. So the next time something triggers you, instead of asking yourself, why is this happening to me again and again, push the pause button and ask yourself, what is this showing to me? What is this trigger showing to me? Breathe in, breathe out, take a rest, take a step back, see the things from distance. Don't act immediately, don't become your emotion. See it from the outside, see it from distance, and ask yourself, what does this want to tell me? What does it want to teach me? And then go inside of yourself, see what's going on there, what kind of feeling is coming up. And instead of rejecting the feeling, just say, okay, I accept you. Whatever I feel now, I accept you. You're allowed to be here. You can even sit down and just feel it. Sometimes I lay down and then I feel it until it goes away again. Because every trigger is a doorway into a deeper awareness, into real healing, and a doorway into becoming more of who you truly are. And I really mean that. Because you take off layer by layer, as I've mentioned, until you see who you really are. And you are not your status, you're not your money, you're not your business, you're not your beauty, you're not your body. You are the light that is shining deeply inside of you. This light wants to come out again and is waiting for you to uncover it from all these shadows that you have, from all these layers that you have built up during your life. And the more you follow and the more you allow yourself to feel, the more life begins to flow again. Believe me in that. I really hope that this episode helped you. If you have any questions or anything to share with me and experiences with this topic, I would love to hear that. And I hope you are here next time again. And if you like this podcast or this podcast episode, I'm happy you share it with other people, that this message spreads around in the world, because that's something we're really going to need in the future. And believe me, the future is going to be bright. And let's open ourselves to a new age, to a new consciousness, and to build businesses in a different way, in a way which helps people to become themselves and to really bring in their talents and their good spirits into the world. Thank you so much. If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to take a moment, not to do more, not to fix anything, but simply to notice what moved inside of you. Growth does not start with doing, it starts with awareness. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss the next episode. And if you feel called to, share it with another woman who is building or becoming. Because we don't need to hustle harder, we don't need to silence our emotions. We simply need to lead ourselves differently. Thank you for being here, thank you for doing this work, and remember, the way you lead yourself determines what you build. I'll see you in the next episode.